From time to time, people want to experience things from their childhood again for the first time. Thankfully for us gamers, indie game exists, and a lot of them are heavily inspired by things that we played in our childhood. A nostalgic feeling swells up, as well as a craving for something new, which is why I was so happy when a Hat in Time popped up from the basket. I knew that I could experience the nostalgic feeling of a 2000 platformer, as well as hitting the craving for something new, since this is my first time playing this game. I just hope I enjoy my time with this one. We start off this game with a titular girl waking up in her spaceship en route to her home, but a mafia goon shows up like a Jehovah's Witness to collect a toll for passing by the planet. Before we go to the door, we are able to just sit and watch him knock, or we can even stand on our vacuum while ignoring his assistance. Though for the game to begin, we have to open the door. Upon shutting the door in his face, the goon can take a hint, so he Superman dashes the door, breaking it. Upon the door breaking in space, the difference in pressure sucks us both out of the spaceship, including the objective of this game, the hourglasses. As we fall down, we look more annoyed than concerned, considering we are falling from space. Upon landing, we get the level intro, which consists of a Mario-like showing of the objective location without really telling you where it is. Since this is the tutorial level, it is pretty linear. It also shows us the basic control, which are very reminiscent of a 2000 platformer. The main difference is the hats that you can knit with different abilities. Our default hat only shows us which direction the objective is. In this level, we also meet one of the many colorful personalities of this game, Mustache Girl. We follow her until she tells us where the first piece fell, and we beat it out of the hands of a mafia goon, unlocking our attack weapon and umbrella. Upon completion of a level, we go back to the hub, which in this case is our spaceship. We can go to the telescope located in different rooms depending on the world you want to select. We go back to Mafia Town as the game shows us how it'll be for the rest of the game. We spawn in an open level where the game shows us our objective and just lets us play. I know I've been mentioning a lot, but this game looks and feels like a forgotten 2000 platformer, which I love. So I thought I'd mention it one last time. If you played a 2000 platformer, you know how this feels. Now, let's see how it is different. This is where the previously mentioned hats come in. To unlock a new hat, you must first find a yarn for the hat, the first one acting like a blueprint to create the hat. Then you just need to gather the required yarn for them and craft them in the menu. Thankfully, you don't need to find any specific yarn, just the required amount. This is also where the game takes advantage of the open-ended levels, hiding the yarn everywhere for people to explore and find, making it a refreshing change from other platformers, since most platformers lock abilities to progression alone. While there is still some progression locking here, if you can't unlock a hat, it feels more like you didn't explore enough rather than beating enough levels. Anyways, after getting my feel of exploring and unlocking two hats, the Sprint and Megumin, Potion Witch hats, we head to our first mini-boss, a stronger than usual goon who captured Mustache Girl. Once we beat him, she thanks us by telling us that they took our hourglasses to their headquarters and that she'll help. This is where we get our first visitor on our spaceship, Mustache Girl, who gives us a rundown of her plan to take down the mafia. Help us get the hourglasses. After the meeting, we forget that the spooky season ended and we terrorize a paranoid mafia goon until he gives us an hourglass. Here we unlock the boss level and remember that Mustache Girl had a plan, so we head up to help her. Once there, we sneak in all the way to the theater where the mafia boss fights us. For this being a first boss fight, it is more challenging than normal first bosses. Upon defeating him, Mustache Girl grabs the hourglass and accidentally drops it, prompting time to reverse. Knowing this, she now wants to use them to fight the mafia and all evil. When we make our desire to go home clear, she swears she'll use the hourglasses to fight evil and becomes our enemy. In our spaceship, we finally have enough power to open the next room, where there's a time rift, which are platforming challenge levels that'll pop up from time to time in the game. Once we beat it, we get our second visitor, Chef Cat, who gives us a relic and tells us something cool might happen when we build a set. This is where I got curious and headed back to Mafia Town just to see that we had new levels available, as well as two time rifts, a normal one and a level specific one. We also noticed that to play some levels, you have to buy it first. Here, I tried to click on one of the time rifts only to get a picture of a part of Mafia Town with the time rift there. So for these, you go into the world and touch them to go into the time rift level. We managed to find the history rift for Mafia Town and went in. I unfortunately missed the painting, and so the picture book it shows after the level with the story was missing a page. I'm sure if you've seen my other videos, you know I don't tend to complete the games. Though I did try to get all that I could, Mafia Town is not one that I managed to do. After another time rift and some ticket gathering in Mafia Town, we run into all the water in Mafia Town being turned into lava. Apparently someone turned the volcano faucet on, of course. A quick platforming challenge later to turn all the faucets off, we get the final hourglass from Mafia Town we can for now, and head towards Dead Bird Studios to see if we can find some more hourglasses. Immediately after entering, we find DJ Grooves and the conductor arguing who is going to win the Best Movie Award, and it seems both of them have hourglasses for props, so we must steal them back. This intro level has the added touch of creating a bill for everything you break. The bill, however, is purely just for show as DJ Grooves waves it off in exchange for your help. The conductor, overhearing this, blackmails you into helping him so he can win the award. He does make it up by giving us an hourglass though. The rest of this world takes place in movie sets, DJ Grooves being in a plaza and the conductor being in a train. Before we begin, we create a new hat that we found a blueprint for in the last level. The ice hat, which allows us to turn into an ice sculpture that can launch on specifically marked places. We first decide to help DJ Grooves by showing off to the fans to promote the movie. We do this by saving puppies, taking pictures, winning guessing games, among other things. Once we complete the level, we see a score screen that shows us how many points we got and who is winning the award so far. Since we've only helped DJ Groove so far, he is winning. In the interest of being fair, we then go to help the conductor who tells us he isn't filming yet, so we can explore the train. While exploring the train, we run into a lot of crows pretending to be owls, asking random questions like the name of our uncle's sister, as well as a lot of reasonably confused owls. Upon reaching the front of the train, we get a call saying to go to the back of the train because our uncle's sister came to visit us, and when we reach the back, we see a cardboard cutout in front of a bleeding owl as our uncle's sister gets framed for murder, and the crows reveal themselves to be CAW agents, and that they will gather evidence of the murder. The conductor tells us they might destroy all the evidence and to sneak around and find out who's the actual murderer. Only having an hour, we gather whatever we can to solve the mystery. Unfortunately, I missed an evidence. Ultimately, it didn't matter as we got lucky and pointed out that no one had died and that the victim merely pretended to have died to get off cleaning duty. It is revealed as well that the conductor was recording all along, as the whole thing was the plot for his movie. In our spaceship, we get another visitor, a jar of ice, claiming to be the mafia boss. He stays in our spaceship until we buy his relic tracker, so we ignore him and head towards a time rift located in the train and complete it easily. You weren't supposed to see that. And hey, to be fair, I wasn't supposed to know that owl was a ninja. After beating the time rift for real this time, we buy the next level for DJ Grooves and go in. In this level, he has us be the parade leader with a few owls following our every move. This level is easy as long as you don't go back to the same path you came from. He does make it interesting by creating obstacles like launching missiles and other stuff. Back at our spaceship, we decide to display a completed relic which unlocked the history rift of the studio, and after going through the wrong level to look for it, I decide to check the clue and go into the right level the second time. Once I got to the history rift, I made sure to get all the pictures for the picture book this time, and once I saw the full picture book, I felt an unimaginable satisfaction. The actual content of the picture book, however, made me question the possibility of two different people renting the same place at the same time, and why would they stay after noticing it. Knowing the story of the level motivated me even more to complete it. But when I bought the next level of the conductor, I got a message that I didn't have the necessary equipment to pass it. So I opted to go to the next world. This next world is a creepy forest, but I wasn't expecting a genuine jump scare waiting for me there. Though in hindsight, I should have learned from the Mario piano. This jump scare is part of the level, and the shadow figure that made it happen makes us sign our soul over to him to continue. Our first task is to defeat some spirits, so they stop blocking off the forest. To defeat these spirits, we have to burn the picture giving them power. Kinda ironic since they themselves are fire spirits. Once done, the shadow figure pops up and forces us to sign another contract, giving us another level to complete. We go back in the creepy forest to clean the well for the shadow figure, who we find reading a book. Good to see that getting souls isn't all he does. Since I'm objective driven and don't like to sidetrack, I started exploring and found myself in another of his traps, making us sign another contract, expanding our workload. Paying no mind to the pattern emerging of the ever-extending list to get our soul back, we finally head to the well, but to get in we had to hit some bells to expand a field, which makes some previous pass-through platforms become solid. Inside we find a frozen chest, and after some OSHA-compliant methods, we managed to open the chest to find a hook shot. With it, we managed to make a stylish fox mask, as well as we get to flush the well. Since I was still inside when the flushing started, we have to get out before the rising water swallows us, though it's more for show than an actual obstacle. When we get outside, we see an hourglass that, after some exploration, we grab. So far, I've been noticing this game is a lot darker than expected. Then again, games like this have fought ghosts and skeleton witches, so I guess it's part of the norm. Wanting a little break from all the darkness, and with the curiosity of checking if the hookshot was what I was missing for the conductor level, I went back to do that. Seeing no missing item message this time, we head into the train and see what the crazy owl has in store for us. Once in, he tricks us into arming a bomb and has us sprint to the front to turn it off. It seems he doesn't care what happens to anyone as long as he wins the competition. Putting the story subtext aside, this is actually the best level I've played so far, since it made full use of the agility of the character to perfection without being unfair. At the front of the train, he gives us an hourglass to appease us before things turn bloody for him. Once out, we unlock the final level of the studio world, as well as a time rift, which we quickly go and pass. Before you head into the next level, a message pops up saying if you want to lock in the winner. Me, still being fresh from the whole train incident, I decide to replay DJ Groove's level to make him the winner. While doing so, I had a feeling that the game was pushing the owl to win for some reason. At the time, I was still being petty, so I ignored the gut feeling and made him lose. We go in the last level only to see it's just a movie award celebration and nothing happens. No bosses on this world, I guess. That's until you get a call to your spaceship telling you that the movie award was rigged and that the winner knows the power of the hourglass. When we head back to the studio level select screen, we see an exclamation mark next to the first level of the world. And once you head in, you see everything is turned off and quiet. With nothing else to do, we sneak in once again. A little bit in, we find an elevator that takes us way down into the studio, which we have yet to explore. With a confusing layout in some places and super tight jumps from core to core in others, this felt a lot more like the last level of a world. Going through this level, you can from time to time hear DJ Grooves talking, and in places you can also see evidence of Mustache Girl being here at some point as well. After heading down another elevator, we get to a room where DJ Grooves is waiting for us. Once we hit the center of the room, a grueling fight against him starts. At the halfway point, he stops fighting to talk to you, but when the talk doesn't go his way, he puts a bomb on you. After a couple of hits, the conductor comes in with a giant pair of scissors and takes the bomb off, allowing you to finish DJ Grooves off. Now, after the fight, I got curious and thought, hey, what would have happened if the conductor won? So I got into the ever-trusty Google and searched it up. I found out that whoever wins the award becomes the boss, and whoever loses is the one that calls you to warn you. So I just missed a perfectly good opportunity to beat the stupid owl up. Oh well, I guess maybe next time, on my own time. Taking our attention back to the present and not what could have been, we decide to head back to the spooky forest to complete it. This next mission is taking out a sentient outhouse toilet, which sounds easy, but it did manage to kick my ass first before I finally got him back. Feeling buzz fatigue, I decided next was going to be a time rift we unlock at the Nightmare Forest. Entering again the forest, it doesn't take me long to fall into another of his traps, making me sign another contract, though this seems to be the last one he has available. This contract has me entering a manor, and within the minute I realized why he had someone else do this one. I was not expecting to be in a Silent Hill mansion with a Pyramid Head replacement hunting me down. I don't know if it was the contrast or if I was genuinely scared, but this was a lot scarier and stressful for me than the whole Resident Evil 2. After some close calls and some sneaking around, we were able to complete the mission and finally get out of the mansion, leaving our last contract with him to be a simple mail delivery, which we do with no issue. After some more exploring, this time to cool off the nerves, Upon completing the delivery, we suddenly gain control of an intruding mustache girl who goes in our time vault and messes with the hourglasses. However, time while linear to us, it is not for Hack Girl, so we pretend we didn't see the world on fire and head back to the Forest of Nightmare to complete the second time rift. To get the Nightmare Forest over with, I decided to go to the last level right after the time rift. Once in, we see an hourglass, and when we approach, the shadow figure stops us to call us obsolete and attacks us to get the hourglasses for himself. With that, the fight starts. After avoiding a few attacks, he breaks the fourth wall by stating he isn't becoming blue for us to hit, and states that makes him invincible. Hat Girl, not wanting to be one up, paints him blue with one of his own attacks, giving us a chance to hurt him. This fight throws so much at you visually, it makes you feel invincible when you finally beat him. Unfortunately, I found out later I wasn't. At the end of the fight, he offers a final contract for you to get out. But Haggo doesn't fancy that, so he gives us an hourglass instead to leave, which is a lot more Hat Girl speed. Back at the spaceship, we display some relics and unlock the history rift for the forest. But before that, we tackle a time rift in the spaceship. Once done, we head back to the forest for the history rift, only to find out the area is blocked off by flames. I realized I hadn't really talked about how the forest was divided by flame walls all over. The fox-like spirits that you find near campfires are actually responsible for those. So once you get rid of them, the firewall disappears. Which means that I had to look all over for a group of them to be able to get to the history rift. After finding and burning the pictures they are attached to, I'm free to tackle the history rift finally. And in it, we see that the horrifying creature from the mansion and the shadow creature were actually a couple long ago, and through a misunderstanding, both of them became horror creatures. I absolutely love the touch that this picture book gave the characters and the forest, giving us a reason for the contracts as well as why he didn't do some things himself. After shedding a few tears at the picture book, we realized we hadn't done a time rift at Mafia Town, so we head back to correct the wrong. With that done, all we have is Alpine skyline and the last level left. So we head above the clouds to the mountaintops of the Alpine skyline. This world is different from the others since you start free roaming with no objective, and it gives you a choice of where to go to get the hourglass. As well, it doesn't kick us out to our spaceship, it just brings us back to the little town in the center of the world. From there, you blow some horns and a path opens for us to travel to other mountaintops. After we climb to the top of each path, we get an hourglass, as well as a cutscene of a purple flower releasing pollen and making the gentle giants allergic. Before I got to all the tops, I did go for the history rift of this location, which amazingly I had unlocked before anything else. Sadly for me, I didn't manage to get all the pictures this time, and I was only able to see the big guys getting to the top and being enlightened. I wonder if that last picture was going to tell me something important. After a couple of peaks reached, we unlock and promptly beat a time rift. Though I found a glitch on this one, where an invisible thief stole my hat, then fell to his doom without giving it back. So I wasn't able to progress, since I needed the ice hat. All I can do was kill myself so the level would reset and give me my hat back. After the eventful time rift, I decided all peaks must be explored. So I went up the last peak I was missing, the Bell Peak. When you get to the top of this peak, you ring the giant bell in the sky and get transported to a place similar to the history rift of this place. Though I had the hourglass in no time after figuring out the puzzles here. Once you have gathered all the available hourglasses, the place goes dark, with all the purple pollen making the once gentle giants irritated. Our goal now is to defeat the evil flower giving the gentle giants allergies. Once done, they come to you and give you an hourglass as thanks. We aren't done with the mountains though, as the second time rift of the world finally appears, and we go in to beat it. Having only the last level left, we head in only to find a huge queue, which isn't a problem since nobody wants to be here. So they all allow us to go in and check who is judging everybody. While heading to the front of the line, you actually see everyone from all levels, be it friend or foe. Some of them have lines telling you how whoever is judging them has an audacious audacity, or even some that don't even know why they're there. We also go through a platforming challenge where a lot is happening. in some places too much. We encounter some owls who are so desperate to go to the back of the line, they are willing to attack you for your ticket. When we get to the judgment room, we see its mustache girl being the judge. She judges us to be selfish but ultimately good and tells us we can go. We want our hourglasses back, however, so we go to her. She slaps us away as she tells us we don't belong here and that we're the bad guy as the fight starts. After a couple of hits, we get interrupted by the important characters telling Mustache Girl she is the one that doesn't belong, which makes her get serious and the true fight begins. In this fight, she has a force field in the beginning, making the people want to help us to the point where some even sell their souls. After a couple of hits, they start destroying themselves to give us help, so we are able to beat her. Supercharged by the people's sacrifice, this becomes a fairer fight, which we win. We turn back time to when the world wasn't a flaming mess, and we are given the option to take pity on Mustache Girl and leave her with one hourglass, so she can at least defeat the Mafia. Since we have what is ours, we try to continue the ride home, but we are stopped by a few characters begging us not to leave them behind, which we sweep away so we can leave. After the cutscene, I noticed there was one last level that I hadn't done at Mafia Town. But for that, I needed the final hat, the time hat. Taking a minute to find the materials to make it, I decided to take the mission once I had it. The last mission to do was a race against a Mafia goon on a rocket. At first I thought it'd be easy, since I can slow down time, but this level turned out to be the one I struggled with the most, to the point I almost gave up. But every time I told myself that I didn't need it, since I wasn't going for 100%, I would get so close to winning, my gamer instincts wouldn't let it go, after I finally beat it 10 minutes later. Now, I know what you're thinking, only 10 minutes? Well, to be fair, the rest of the game is super easy, and this race is also sub 1 minute, meaning I tried at least more than 15 times before I got it. No other level or task took me more than 3 tries. Now, after playing, did it hit my nostalgia as well as my desire for something new? It definitely did. Reminded me of games like Super Mario Sunshine and 64, as well as Crash to Insanity and Conker's Bad Fur Day, while still giving it its own unique feeling. I really loved how every world felt different from each other, and how, without changing your moveset, some levels felt like playing a different game. Now, while some platforming makes you feel like a gaming god, the game really isn't that difficult. I wish that at least the Time Rift, which were pure platforming challenges, were a little bit more difficult than they were. All in all, I would still recommend this game to anyone who loved 2000 platformers. Before I leave, I'll leave you some pointers, even though I doubt anybody would need them. First, there's a creepy glitchy guy that sells useful and unuseful badges. My advice with him is to buy the pins and the umbrella badge. Everything else is barely useful or is actively unuseful. Second thing is, take your time with your jumps. Most of your deaths are gonna come from watching too much. On that note, don't be afraid to do the air dive move. The game really opens up when you use it. And lastly, if you're using the running hat, let go of the hat button right before you jump so you can still do the double jump and control where you land better. Well, that is all for me. I'm still being affected by the absence of my editing PC. However, we just recently got it back, so hopefully our videos start taking an upward trend in quality as we continue to learn and improve. And with that, please kidnap the like button. The subscribe button will miss it and pay ransom, I promise. And I'm out. Watch him knock. Oh wait. Wait. It's we, not we. Yawn. 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 It also pasta, food, Doritos. Mustache. His existence. Don't patronize me. If you want to say no, it's no. There's no way that my break sounded like bake. Banana. Cheese. Weh. I didn't even say wet. I said weh. He poops. He poops. He poops! Soda. Yoo-hoo. After a couple of hits, the conductor comes in with a giant pair of scissors and takes the bomb off, allowing you to finish DJ Groove off. It's so scary. No. I guess it's not good enough. So I got into the Google. No. Managed to kick my ass be first. You can edit that, right? From or. From or, not whore. How can I feel where its own unique feeling? Why are you touching your phone? Why? Why are you touching your phone? Is that really okay, or is just I guess again?